Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Lists, a little series I'm doing to cover a bunch of broad subjects that interest me. For today's topic, we're going to be covering self-improvement videos and why I find them a bit interesting in different ways. Now, for starters, you could argue this channel is a self-improvement channel, but I never label it that because for me it's just talking about opinions that I think are kind of interesting. But what I have seen, especially with just doing this content, is slowly consuming what other people are doing similarly, like self-improvement content, and I have found some issues with it and how people actually use it. There's this really great YouTube video by, I believe, Healthy Gamer, and it has a doctor on it, and it talks about how people actually consume self-improvement content, and I found it very just informational and inspiring to listen to, because when you are watching a lot of these videos, you will get recommended more, and you watch a lot of them, and you continue to watch a lot of them. And once you get all of these ideas and opinions in your head from these self-improvement videos, it just becomes a jumbled mess in your brain on what to actually do. So what do? You just keep doing what you're actually doing and maybe keep watching the videos because you think, oh hey, that's a really good idea and good topic I want to learn more about. That's really where I feel like they fall short of, because even if self-improvements have that issue I have found, they're still really great videos. Like, I know a couple times I've randomly watched one and it's gave me some good motivation to do something that I elsewise would have not done, and I would say for those scenarios they're great videos to watch. It's just when you get into the rabbit hole of continuing them, it really overloads your brain. Because I believe that if you are actually going to go out and do something, it is because you're going to do it subconsciously, and you're going to do it because you want to do it, and not necessarily because someone told you to do it. I always think that when you truly want to do something, it's only because you realize that you actually want to do it, and it's not just because someone said to do it. It's your body and your mind realizing what it is and that you should actually go through with it. I've gotten so much advice throughout my life, and I've followed their advice very much, but that's only because I realized what it was to me and how it would benefit me, and going through the process of accepting how it would better me, so then once I went out and do it, it was because I felt like I needed to do it, and not because some person told me to do it. I feel that it's really important to get some of this help, because sometimes you just need to hear it from someone to be like, hey, here's some interesting stuff you can do in your life if you feel it's very repetitive. I know some of the self-improvement YouTube videos I've gotten down and the rabbit holes with it is either content creation or watching YouTube. I know now when I scroll on my YouTube, I see a lot of stuff of how to quit your YouTube addiction. And when watching the videos, I found them all to be super helpful and really get the message across. It's just, once you watch it, it's really hard to actually go out and do the steps. Not necessarily because deep down you think it's actually a bad thing, it's just that process and self-discipline of actually listening to the advice and then following through with it, is that always going to be a hard thing, and I've noticed it very much too. Even if I can take other people's advice and eventually go through with it in my own way, where I go out and do the action because I believe I should do it, and it's like self-realizing in that way I explained before, it's still very hard, I would say, for everyone to just go out and do something because someone said it. And when you get into these self-improvement videos, when you have all these different voices telling you how to live your life, it gets just too overwhelming, and I would say just doesn't really work. You can watch these videos and they can help you in certain scenarios, but for me, instead of watching a bunch of these videos, I do something else. Even though I've said I've watched some of these videos, it's more just me being curious about what the videos actually provide to people, because I at least feel I've gotten my life somewhat under control, but I still feel it's important to maybe just see what other people think. But I have one phrase that I use when doing stuff, and it is just, am I having fun? That simple thing. No matter what I'm doing, it's just the question of, am I having fun? It doesn't matter about what it is, it's just a question that I always ask, because in the scenarios is, if I'm not having fun, why am I doing it? It could be, oh, well, this is work that needs to get done for work or school, so I have to do it, and then that is a valid reason. Or, yeah, I'm having fun, I'm getting some good laughs out of it, or, yeah, it's mediocre and I feel like I can maybe be doing something else. That is how I've been living my life and trying to instead not go through all these different rabbit holes of advice being given to me. It's just the simple question of, am I having fun? Because I feel at the end of the day is, if you're having fun, what else is there to really talk about and have a counterpoint at? Because this little series is called Lists. Life is short. And I always say that not to make it seem like a big grand scheme of things and fear-mongering, and more of just a thing of, life is short in the grand scheme of things, but it's still a very, very long time to do stuff in. And why I feel like it's important to just be asking the question is, am I having fun, is, what can you fill your life with in this short, in quotation marks, time we have? And with that time we have, since there is a lot you can do, is if you're having fun, what's the reason to question that? That's why when anything is happening, if I'm just having a bit of joy, I just always think, I'm having some good life experiences that I'm going to remember, so I don't really care about maybe some of the downsides of it. It is a definite thing where you might be having fun in a definitive sense when actually it could be hurting you very much, and that definitely is a thing to look out for. But I like to keep it that broad thing of just, how is this situation happening, and am I having a good time to just remember it? I really just want to live a life of just some good, happy times, so that when you look back on it, maybe for the last time, you can just be at least happy you had all these moments. I feel like when you're trying to chase this idea of just becoming better and better and better and better, and with self-improvement content trying to get that into your brain to figure out how you can perfectly optimize it, that's not really, I would say, a mindset that people should go after. It's more, I would say, a mindset of just live the life that you feel you want to live. And if you want to live a life you're not living currently, like let's say you want to become an actor, why not just do the steps to do that? It definitely has a lot of the idea of like going back to self-discipline and time management and all the stuff to actually make sure those goals get through, but goal setting, I would say, is a really good first start. If any of these self-improvement videos can give you some good advice, I would say it's really just sit down with where you are in your life. Look around in the room you are, look around in the actual concept of your mind and how you're feeling, go just around in all these aspects, and then tell yourself, am I happy? Am I having fun in life? And what are my goals? And if you just set out those questions and just ask yourself if you're having fun, answer that, figure out maybe why you're having fun or maybe why you're not having fun, and then what's a goal. That is, I would say, how I have been living, and at least has been a really small way for me to just give my own self-improvement, because when I'm giving it to myself is really when it lands. When you're doing it yourself, I will say it will always land because you're getting that autonomy to just actually go out and do it yourself. I am personally making this not necessarily to dog on self-improvement content a lot, because it has its ups, but I am just saying that if you're getting overwhelmed in life and trying to find a bunch of stuff and avenues to make that less, maybe just give yourself a sit down and see what happens. Anyways, that's going to be all for today. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.